One of the most commonly asked questions to a leader is, describe to me your leadership style. Think about that. Leadership style. If you ask for a clarifying question, they say, well, of course you know what I mean. Do you lead from the front or do you lead from behind? Well, a leader is the biggest animal. The higher your title, the more you grow in your career, the bigger the animal you become. You may start out as a turtle, and then you become a bird, and then you become a horse, and then you become a lion, then you become an elephant. So I remember when I was a young boy, my father took me down to watch the parade of the circus coming to town. And they had the jugglers and the strongman and the acrobats and they were all coming down, but you know what I want? And they had the lions in the cages, but we all know what I wanted to see. The same thing you all wanted to see. We wanted that big elephant to come. And you know, you wait and you wait and you wait, and here comes the elephant. And I thought it was so funny that the elephant wasn't really the last one. There's people behind the elephant. And I asked my dad, what are they doing? He says, well, you know, in order to bring these elephants through the town, they have to pick up the feces from the elephants, because the elephants they don't wear diapers and they go to the bathroom wherever they want. And I thought to myself, there's one job in life I never want to have, is that job following behind the elephant. Well, as a leader today, you have a choice to make. Are you going to lead from the front with great ideas, vision, being a complete communicator, so that all those elephants that you manage are coming with you, are following you? Or if you don't want to be a great leader and you want to be a fixer, the one that fixes all the mistakes they make, then you're like that man behind the elephant that I was telling you about. You spend your whole time scooping poop for your entire career. And you can be very successful pooper scooper. There are a number of great leaders who are known for their ability to fix things, fix the problems of their companies, products, marketing, etc. But truly great leaders are the ones that set a vision, clearly communicate what that is, and people get excited about that, invest in that, and commit to being part of that vision. A leader is in front of the elephant leading them, not behind. To know what your job is as a manager is easy. You have a title. You're a manager of a certain function. You're a manager over a certain group of people. You're a manager over a certain geography. There isn't such a badge to put on for a leader. There'll be resources identified here at the end of this module that will have you consider that everybody should be a leader from wherever they are, whatever role they have in the company. That means is a leader's taking a responsibility to communicate clearly. Leader takes joy and curiosity in connecting to their people, not just to manipulate them to get them to do what that leader wants, but really connect to make sure that you're leading people where they want to go, to maximize your success as a leader. It's not just about that communication, that connecting. It's not just about that vision that people are following. It's not just about being in front of the elephant. It has to do with taking it one step further. And really what that next level is to help people that you are leading develop. That's where delegation comes into play. I've never met a leader yet that says they don't want to delegate. But almost every leader I've ever talked to will immediately follow that statement with, but it takes too much time. They don't do it as well as I do it. So how many of you are there? How do you take yourself and replicate yourself? Not just in your direct reports, but in that broader sense in the company. Delegating is trusting, it's empowering, and it is the most motivation, or the highest level of motivation a fully engaged, fully committed member of your team can have, that says, you're on the right track, I want more from you, I trust you. One of the misconceptions of delegation is that you have to delegate something in its entirety. And that's not true. There's very little that any leader at any level can take in its entirety and give to somebody else. It's what you're paid to do. That's what you've trained to do. And frankly, the person you try to delegate that big thing to doesn't have the time for it. Think back to the module. We talk about small bites instead of these big audacious goals. We apply that in delegating by saying, I delegate in part. So if you have a certain function that you're responsible for, and it's reviewing a report, let's say you have to review the reports of 10 people every week. And you have somebody on your team that every week is the best, gives you the best report. It's complete. They understand the outcome you're looking for. They hit all the tasks. They do it on time. They're efficient. They're clear. Well, you can't give, they don't have the time to be delegated the big hairy goal of 10 of these, but you can start out with 1 or 2. And you can have that informal coaching conversation of guidance and direction. Here's what it looks like, talking about the task, what the outcome is you're looking for, and give them something, delegate something to them, a function to them in part. You're stretching them. Frankly, you're carving out some time in your schedule. What if out of your 10 direct reports, 5 of them were doing 5% of some number of your responsibilities? Imagine what you could do at that time to develop yourself, to come up with new ideas, to get a coaching session. But really, when you think about it, what's the value of becoming a good leader? Let alone a great leader. It takes a lot of time, takes a lot of effort on your part as this emerging leader. You've got the formal authority. You can just tell people what to do. You can use a lot of these techniques we've previously talked about to guide people down a path of getting stuff done for you. But what do you get out of being a great leader? It was once shared with me that when a worker comes home to their house, they don't leave the office behind. There is a time, it's a transition time, of how that worker felt. And again, it could be a CEO or an intern. But it takes some period of time for them to overcome what working for that company or how working for that company made them feel that day. Think about this. You're the leader. You put effort into it. You've worked a 10, 12-hour day. You've given this manager, the individual contributor, everything that you have to give. And yet they're not feeling value. That's the connection. That's the real outcome that a leader has, is to connect to their people, both their direct reports and all the way down to that intern, so that they can see, each individual can identify with that outcome. There are many techniques to do this. We'll leave a couple of resources at the bottom of this module for you to reference. But it has to do with finding out what motivates the people that work for you. What do they like to do when they're not working? What's important to them in life? Many companies have found, especially with our younger generations, that they have a real passion for doing good in society, not waiting until their 50s or 60s to do all that they want to do, create this big nest egg of money, and then get involved with society and do something of purpose. Many of the younger generation participants today want to do that now. That's a value to them. Many companies today identify with that value, and so they make it part of your employment. Doing what you would want to in your free time is something the company lets you do on your employment time. The activities that overlap is the real connection. Again, not just communicating clearly, not just making sure that you're in front of the elephant, not behind it, but going that last and final step of creating true value and true personal connection between each and every member of your team and your company and yourself as a leader. Doesn't take a lot of time, but it does require transparency. When you ask somebody to share what's important to them, you better be prepared to have them ask you what's important to you. You're then at a point where not only is the employee incredibly valuable to you because of their level of engagement, but you've actually started touching people's lives. When that employee goes home, they won't go home with that dust of the day on them, so to speak. They'll go in excited to share with whoever's there, even if it's their dog or their cat. They'll be excited to share what a great day they had doing something of value. Previous generations sought work-life balance. This is work. This is my life. I don't know if you've noticed, but we use the same tools, the same phones, the same watches, the same computers, the same screens of whatever sort in our job that we use at our home. That we are pushed information, personal and professional, all day long. You're not the only one as a leader that schedules their weekend during the work hours because they get an invitation on their phone. Neither is your intern, neither is your senior VP, neither is anybody in between. This is about integrating life and work together. Frankly, it's already happened. Not to acknowledge it and embrace it is a type of miscommunication, previous module, that can damage your ability to connect to your people as a leader. Many of us still take a different version of ourselves into the workplace because we feel that for whatever reason that's the way we should be. Whether we saw it on TV, in a movie, it was something somebody told us, you're too aggressive or you're not aggressive enough, whatever it might be, we're influenced by that more than we think. The younger the generations, in most cases, it's not universal, the shorter the difference is between, or the less the difference is between those two. But it still exists. My generation, really bad. Yeah. Really, really bad. It's interesting when I think back on the various topics that come up during coaching about leadership. One very common topic is, Barry, how do I manage my manager? I go, what do you mean by that? Well, how do I manage up? So I ask the question, what is the outcome that you want from this, what you call managing up? They say, well, I want my manager to take me seriously. I want my manager to know I work hard. I want my manager to know I'm interested. Okay, those are all very, very good outcomes. But we don't really manage up. Remember in a previous module we talked about that line under which we have control and influence, above which we have no control. Your manager's up here. You can't control your manager. You can influence your environment, you can control your environment and those around you. But how do you get, we'll call a little bit of influence. How do I extend my influence up to my manager? It goes back to value. In a previous module, we talked about how leadership creates value in a relationship. I would say that rather than managing up, we should talk about leading up, or leading from where you are. What can you do to help your manager be more successful? Well, in a previous module, we also talked about a leader as somebody who delegates in part or in whole, usually in part to other members of their team. When was the last time you asked your manager, hey boss, is there something that I can do to help you? I see that you do these 3 things all the time. I think I can help you with number 2. Can you find a way for us to work together so I can learn and grow and help you be successful? Outcome. Managing up, or more importantly, as we talked about here, leading up, has to do with what? Helping your manager be successful. That's the outcome. Ask the question, make yourself available, communicate completely. Don't you be the one that says, hey boss, I need this and I need it in a certain period of time. No, you be the manager, or you be the individual contributor that says, hey boss, here's the outcome I'm looking for. I think these are the tasks that I need to get there. What do you think? Engage them in a conversation that is framed in those 4 cornerstones of complete communication.